Let's be honest, the pandemic didn't bring much joy to the world. However, after its conclusion, it did have one sizable silver lining for aviation fans: the return of the A380. Yes, the pandemic, which brought aviation to a standstill and shuttered airlines, is almost directly responsible for bringing back a consumer favourite that was destined for the boneyards. The Airbus A380 is an engineering marvel, and unlike its other super jumbo counterpart, the Boeing 747, its lifespan is destined to be shorter. But thanks to pent-up travel demand, airlines are bringing back the double-decker and giving it a second life. Let's explore who's flying it and just where you can go on an A380 today. The A380 took to the skies for the very first time near Toulouse, France in 2005 for its maiden test flight. 2 years later, in October 2007, Singapore Airlines took delivery of the first commercial A380. Production continued until the end of 2021. The economics of four-engine aircraft simply became too much for operators to continue to invest in these new planes. A total of 251 non-test A380s were built, with a peak production of 30 a year rolling off assembly lines for Airbus. At its height, 15 carriers operated the A380, with Emirates being the largest operator, flying 121 380s at its peak, or roughly 45% of the produced A380s, which is quite incredible to think just where the Airbus A380 may have been had Emirates not invested in the aircraft. With our brief A380 history lesson in the rearview mirror, let's move forward to the excitement now. After all, the return of the only full-length double-decker to the post-pandemic skies is what this video is all about. Truth be told, the author of this script and his little man are going out of their way just to fly on the A380. 2 9-hour legs in economy over 5 days, and there's zero doubt others may actually try and do the same. The A380 is an important part of the aviation industry, and people want to be involved in that. Currently, 11 airlines employ or are in the process of bringing back the 380. One of the most noticeable missing elements of the program is the lack of a US A380 carrier. So if you want to fly on one, it won't be on either Delta, United, or American. And if you'd like to learn more about why US airlines don't fly the Airbus A380, you can find our explanation right here on GlobeTrotting. While these major US airlines don't fly the A380, it doesn't mean the A380 lacks US service. You can certainly fly to and from America on board double-decker planes. For US flyers, you can board an A380 in Dallas, Houston, Washington DC, Chicago, Miami, Boston, New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Honolulu. The most popular destination by means of passenger capacity are London and Dubai. This is no surprise though. Emirates' global hub is Dubai, and British Airways is currently the second largest A380 operator. So London flights are always bound to be a frequent part of the A380's network makeup. As of February 2023, there are 48 airports that currently have A380 service, but that is down from pre-pandemic days of 56. Only one continent lacks A380 flights. To be fair though, landing an A380 on Antarctic ice is probably not the adventure anyone would be willing to go out of their way to take, unless you're a thrill seeker and want to stay there for the remainder of your time. South America has service from Emirates to Sao Paulo, Brazil. In Africa, British Airways and Emirates serve Johannesburg, while Cairo is also served by Emirates. The island of Mauritius, too, and this is only set to expand in the future. US flyers can board A380 flights from Asiana, ANA, Qantas, British Airways, Emirates, Korean, Singapore. When Lufthansa 380s come back online this summer, they'll serve Boston and New York, and later down the year, they'll be serving Los Angeles too. Canadian travellers can jet set from Toronto on Emirates. London also has services from many major A380 operators, such as your British Airways, Emirates, Singapore, and such. In addition, Etihad will serve London when their 380s return. Emirates serves many European cities: Frankfurt, Amsterdam, Paris, Rome, Munich, Milan, Zurich. The list just really goes on, and their presence can definitely be felt there. Singapore Airlines is also scheduled to operate routes to many destinations with its own 380s. Oceania destinations include Perth, Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, and Auckland, with Singapore, Qantas, Qatar, Emirates, and Asiana all having an Oceania presence. Asia flights are in an abundance. Emirates operates passenger services to the likes of Beijing, Bangkok, Bangalore, Istanbul, Kuala Lumpur, Guangzhou, Tokyo, and so much more. Korean also adds Taipei to the list. Meanwhile, Qantas offers services to Singapore. Qatar will take you to Bangkok. Singapore naturally serves its home of Singapore, Hong Kong, Beijing. Asiana flies to Bangkok and Seoul, while ANA rounds out service to the Asian continent from Tokyo. There's clearly no shortage of A380 destinations, and if the CEO of Airbus gets his wish, the A380 should keep flying for a long time. A couple of months ago, at a recent press event, the CEO told reporters he hopes the A380 will fly for decades to come. Expanding on that, the CEO assured reporters that companies plan to offer service and support for all A380s as long as airlines keep flying them. More and more companies are also returning the aircraft to service. This coming summer, Lufthansa will fly the A380 once more. Meanwhile, as Qantas reactivates more of its own Airbus A380s, they'll deploy them on additional cities. Etihad Airways, as we mentioned earlier in this video, will fly their own 380 towards London as well. How long these A380s remain flying is another question for another day, but the likelihood that by 2030 there's merely only a handful of operators, if not less than a couple, may be very likely. Although time will tell, and with the industry's unpredictable nature, it's anyone's guess as to what happens. Like its distant sibling, if you will, the 747, it is inevitable that the A380 will meet the boneyard. The simple economics of 2 engines versus 4 fuel-thirsty engines cannot be ignored. However, the mixed-up world of travel demand and pandemic realities have brought flyers some extra time. Don't waste it. There's plenty of destinations that you can visit on the one and only true double-decker commercial airliner. What are you waiting for? Book your flight today, and if there's a specific route you'd like to board the aircraft on, let us know down below in the comments. We thank you so very much for the continued support right here on GlobeTrotting. If you have any video suggestions you'd like to be turned into videos here on GlobeTrotting, check the link in the description that will take you to a Google form where you can submit video ideas. Until the next one, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and stay tuned for much more aviation analysis to hit the channel in the future. And we'll